Hey y'all, today I'm going to be showing you how to adapt a regular nylon halter to have a breakaway with one of our little breakaway tabs. These are super handy and they'll work with almost any halter. To know if this would work with your halter, you just need to look for the little nylon piece that goes from the halter ring up to the buckle. There will typically be one on the left side where it buckles. There may also be one on the right side. This one doesn't have one because it only has the one buckle, so the crown piece just comes all the way up and around, but you only need one of these to make it breakaway. And basically we're just going to be replacing this piece of nylon between there and there with this little replacement breakaway tab. And this will make your halter a lot safer for turnout and just safer in general if they were to get caught on something, whether you're using it for a muzzle or just to use as a halter. The things that you're going to need are your halter. Obviously you want to make sure it's one that fits them well, especially if you're using it for the muzzle. You're going to need something to cut with. A decent pair of scissors will often do the job, but I have my X-Acto knife here. And then you're gonna need your breakaway. And then the last thing that you will need is a flathead screwdriver, but you won't need that till the end. And sometimes you can finger tighten these, but I like to use a screwdriver. So the first thing that you're gonna do, it'll be a lot easier if this buckle isn't attached. And you're gonna look and see where this nylon goes around the buckle, because we want to make sure that the leather goes around that same spot. If your nylon piece has a hole in it that this little tab sticks out through, you might have to get a leather punch and punch a similar hole in this part of the leather tab. Most of them have a secondary little piece that they go around. So I'm gonna look for the stitching here, and if you're using scissors, a lot of times you can just open the scissor part and put the sharp edge of the blade towards that and kind of rip through. I'm gonna show you similarly with my X-Acto knife, and always cut away from your fingers. And I'm just cutting that stitching. If you have a really old halter, sometimes this can be a little more challenging. And as soon as I'm through that, you can also just cut straight through the nylon. This nylon is really thick, so I think I'm gonna have an easier time cutting the stitching, and then that rips right off. And now you can get rid of this piece. Gonna close my knife blade. When you reattach this, you wanna make sure everything is oriented correctly. I set my buckle down the same direction that it was originally on the halter to make sure I don't get things confused. And now I just am gonna take my screwdriver and unscrew this Chicago screw here. It doesn't really matter which direction this faces. The only thing is when you put your Chicago screw back in, it will be easier to access if you have the piece that has like the little thread for the screwdriver facing out towards you. And something else, once you put this on, we do recommend kind of looking at it and checking. Sometimes these screws can back themselves out a little bit. Some like plumber's tape or something like that around there can keep that from happening. And if you do need to shorten this too, you could punch additional holes to kind of shorten it and make it whatever length you want. I'm just gonna use it as is. So you're basically just going to wrap this around, align the hole, and then I'm gonna wrap this one around the same spot that it was wrapped around before, and then line up all three of those holes. And then I'm gonna take the post end of the Chicago screw and pop it through all three holes. And then put the and that has a little slot for my screwdriver on there. I like to just kind of thumb tighten it. I just like press my thumb in there just to kind of get it started. And I'm holding it on the back side with my pointer finger. I'm kind of holding it still. And now I've reached the end of where I can tighten it that way. So I'm gonna get a really good, I'm gonna press on the back side of it really hard and then try to tighten it a little bit more. These will stay engaged better if they kind of like press down into the leather. You can see how it's kind of squished down in there and it's starting to slide. Okay, I think I've got it pretty tight. So, and that's what it will look like. And then when you buckle your halter back, you actually kind of don't even see it because that covers it right up. But yeah, and then these can be replaced as needed if they break. And that is going to take a nylon halter that we wouldn't recommend using for turnout and make it into a safety breakaway halter. I hope this was helpful and let us know if you have any questions. Oh, something else I forgot to mention is that if you're using a smaller halter, this has like inch wide webbing. If you're using something that's narrower and this just doesn't fit, you might be able to take some scissors and just trim along this to make it like a 3/4 inch if you have like a mini halter or something like that. But or you can find a narrower piece of leather and use that same Chicago screw. But yeah, I just like to mention that for our mini customers as well. So good luck. Let us know if you have any questions.